How's it going, everyone? It's me, Dread, and I thought let's do another little ramble. I was going to sit on the computer and I was going to go through some charts. I was going to talk about news. I was going to make a big thing out of it. But then I realized I don't want to sit on the computer today. So I decided against it. I thought I'm just going to grab my phone and I'm just going to talk into it while I walk around the house and spit some thoughts out that way. No one's at home, so I'm all on my own at the moment. And yeah, it's quite a nice day. You might go in the garden a little bit. You might hear a little bit of birds chirping and stuff like that. But yeah, very much just can't be asked to sit in an office today because I just don't really want to be on a computer. Kind of sucks sometimes. So, how's it been going? It's been quite a boring period, I think. It's been quite, how would you say? Price action's been kind of mute. I've got to the point now where I'm not checking prices every day. But when I'm checking the prices, I'm expecting a certain level, and I'm normally quite close. So if I'm looking at BitTensor, if I'm looking at Tau, I'm expecting around $50, and there we are. If I'm looking at Casper, I'm expecting around 5 cents, or 4748. There we are. And it seems like that's been the case for a while now. Bitcoin's just been chilling around 26, 27K. Yeah, it's been quite boring. And I think because of that, you start to look into. I guess you have two choices, right? You either sit and you really get involved in research and you use the time wisely, or because of the boredom, get caught up in discussions and narratives and arguments, debates, or you just choose to kind of unplug and pull away, and say, all right, I'll just do some other shit. And that's the latter is what I've been doing. I've just been kind of putting away a little bit and thinking, you know what, it's quite boring at the moment. I have long-term plans, so I'm not going to sit here on a day-to-day and just get involved in it all. It's kind of bullshit in my eyes. So this ramble won't be about the intricacies of what's been going on day to day recently. It's probably going to be more of a broad, long-term discussion about mindset and how we're doing going forward, what we think is going to happen, what we think is not going to happen. So yeah, I think when you look at Bitcoin and you look at the markets, I know we went over this last time. We did that driving with Dread, and we kind of talked through that. But I think when you look at where we are at the moment, I think some people would say we're at the start of the bull market. Some people would say we're at the end of the bear market. Maybe they're the same thing, but that you can argue each way. I put out a tweet recently saying that I think we're in more of a depressive state in the market right now. We had that awful 2022 where everything got crushed really, and then we've had a bit of a relief rally from that point on. And Bitcoin's done incredibly well. But if you look at most altcoins, a lot of altcoins haven't done too well. There's been exceptions. Of course, stuff like Chainlink's done very well. Casper's done incredibly well during the bearish period. But a lot of altcoins, if you go across the markets, a lot of them are flirting with their lows, whether that's all-time lows or just local lows. But a lot of altcoins aren't doing well. And the lack of liquidity that's going around the market at the moment is evident, because you're not seeing the tweet that I put out was basically around what I have seen over the past month or two, I guess probably even longer, is communities and individuals moaning about certain things. Why is the price down? Why are we not going up? Why is Why are the teams not marketing? Why are the teams silent? Why, why do we have a lack of liquidity? And like I said in the tweet, a lot of that can just be explained with bear market. It's just bear market shit. This is how it is in a bear market. When you're at the top of the bull market, before the bull market, you have a huge move, whether that's due to narratives or fundamentals, or just market cycle psychology. You have this huge move. And at the top of the cycle, you have so many people invested in the markets, because you have the people who were early investors, you have the people who are opportunists, and then you have the people who are speculators. But then towards the end, you have the degens, you have the gamblers, you have the people who know nothing about crypto. Everyone piles into the space looking to get rich because they've heard a lot of other people getting rich. But then a lot of those people who come later on, they're the ones who get trapped. They're the ones who lose a bunch of money. They're the ones who are first to leave. They're the ones who capitulate. They all go. Then you have, you kind of whittle away at that list of groups of people who I just said. And the ones you're left with are, the long-term thinkers, the I don't want to say early adopters, but the people who are truly care long term about the space, or just people who were trapped from the last cycle and didn't get out, and then they think, "Fuck it, I'm going to stick around." But a lot of people leave when you go from that transition from the bull cycle to the bear cycle. A lot of people leave, and that's just where we are. There is just not a lot of people in the space anymore. There's not a lot of people, and you have to start that whole process again. And that whole process usually starts with liquidity. We need to see an influx of liquidity into the markets. And we're just not seeing that because global liquidity is tightening. It's just there's just not an abundance of liquidity around there at the moment. So crypto is obviously affected by it. Every asset in the world is affected by that. But crypto is affected by it as well. So when you see individual projects, if you think of, liquidity as a huge pool of water, right? And there's the pool is full. It's full and it's overflowing. There's just so much liquidity. Every project that is in that pool has an abundance of liquidity going through the project. And you see these huge moves, you see these pumps, people can get in and out of positions easily without moving the price too much. But once that liquidity starts shrinking, and once that pool starts to drain and there's just a puddle left, a lot of those projects aren't going to be getting much of that water, much of that liquidity at all. So then all of a sudden, prices are more affected by price moves, by people capitulating or buying or selling. If someone sells, I don't know, let's go with 1,000 tau in a bull market, maybe that doesn't affect price at all. In a bear market, that will crush the price because there's just not an abundance of liquidity on the books. So I think we are in a very depressive state at the moment, which doesn't look like the start of a bull market to me. It looks like bear market shit. And having been through a few of them now, it looks how it has looked in the past. So that's where we are. I think we're in a quite a depressive state. But the point is, I think from now until the future, I think the whole plan needs to be, not just for me, not just for others, but for everyone who's invested in this space, is to get to the bull market. Is to get to the bull market. And it doesn't matter how you get there, but you need to get there. And everyone has different plans. So whether that's, I'm going to buy a bunch of projects that I really believe in that will do very well in the bull market. I'm going to buy them. I'm going to sit back for 2-3 years. I'm just going to let it do its thing. I don't care if it goes down another 20%, 30%, 50%. That's what I think I'm going to do. Excuse me. Or the other camp is I'm going to I'm going to sell everything. I think there's going to be more downside, and I'm going to scoop up all of those cheap projects that would then maximize my returns in a bull market. Now, the other side of that is we don't get that downside. You don't get your positions and you have to buy higher later on. And then you get the other side of it where people kind of do half and half. I have a bunch of projects that I believe in long term, but I also have some cash that I'm going to hopefully put to work if we do get some more downside. And that's the camp I'm in. But it doesn't matter what camp you're in. What matters is getting yourself to that bull market, because I do believe we get that bull market again. I don't think that crypto is dead. I do think we're going to get there. And it's a question of how long is it going to take? Is it going to be another 6 months? Is it going to be another year, 2 years, 3 years? No one really knows. But the whole point is to try and navigate this depressive period and get yourself to that bull market, because everything changes once we're in that bull market. If you haven't really been through a bull market, a true one from the start to finish, how it looks now compared to how it looks at the top of a bull market, completely different. Completely different. And it is really just a matter of navigating this horrible period. And, that's easier said than done, because, the whole point of having to work through a bear market is the fact that things are shit. Conditions are shit. Everyone's depressed. There's just not a lot going on. It's fucking boring. But if you can navigate that, however you have to navigate it, get to that fucking bull market. You have to. Now, my plan has been to just, like I said, have a bunch of projects that I believe in long term, have them secured, put them away. Don't worry if they go down in value. Just leave them. Don't worry. Don't get too emotional if they go up in value. If Tau goes up to $100 like it did, I didn't get too emotional about it, because my long-term view is I want to value Tau in a bull market. I don't want to value it in a bear market. So if Tau goes from $50 to $100 now, I don't really give a shit, because we're still overall in a bear market. I want to see what Tau can do in a bull market. It's the same with Casper. It's the same with a bunch of projects. So that's where I'm at. I want to see what these long-term positions I have can do in that bull cycle, and hopefully we sell high enough in that bull cycle that it makes sense. But where was my train of thought? Where was I going with that? Come on, bring it back. That's right. So that half of the plan is to just hold those long-term positions. The other half of the plan is, okay, there's a bunch of cash there. If we get that downside capitulation, where I'm not going to worry about those long-term positions going down in value, because like I said, I just want to see what they do in the bull market. I don't care what they do in the bear market, whether they go down in value, up in value. Don't get too emotional. Long-term plan. The other side of it is put that cash to work. If we get that capitulation, put the cash to work. If we don't, fine. That cash didn't get to do its purpose, but that cash can go to work somewhere else, whether that's, I don't know, pulling it out of the market, doing something else with it, buying a coffee machine, I don't know, whatever, right? Buy some nice stuff for the house, or maybe even buy some property, maybe even buy some gold. I don't know, right? Put the cash to work somewhere else if we don't get that opportunity in crypto. That's my plan. And for I feel like this kind of ties into the other point, where it's how are you then going to navigate the time it takes for that to happen, because there is just a lot of time to fill. Now, you could spend the day-to-day involved thinking, I'm going to be deep involved in this, I'm going to see what happens every single day, I'm going to follow the news, I'm going to follow the new narratives, I'm going to jump on the trends, I'm going to trade this day to day. Or you can step back. And that's my plan. I was kind of in this first camp. Now I'm in the second camp. I'm so ready to not pay attention to stuff and to put my energy elsewhere, and just sit back and let my plans either come to fruition or understand that they might not. And I think this just ties into kind of the mental health aspect. I don't think it's healthy being on social media all the time. And I think Twitter has got worse, which is now X, isn't it? I think it's got worse. I think it's just got to a point now where it's really kind of hard work being on the platform. It's very depressing. It's now that you have this For You tab which to be fair, there's a lot of interesting content from a lot of interesting accounts, but you get a lot of stuff pushed to you that is just not enjoyable, and I've had to take action in terms of muting certain words, on the platform, and it's good that it gives you that option. But I'm just seeing my feed just filled up with stuff about politics, that Trump, Biden, and a while ago it was a lot of stuff about gender stuff, whether it was LGBT, I don't know what the terms are, LGBTQ. There's too many. um, all of that shit. Or stuff with Ukraine and Russia, and now it's stuff with Israel and Palestine, and I don't come to Twitter for that. I just don't. I come to Twitter because I want to know about finance. I want to know about what are people saying about the markets. People who are way smarter than me and have, a lot more experience and time in those markets, and are specialists and experts in certain fields, whether that be macro, whether that be crypto, whether that be anything, just finance in general. That's what I come there for, and that's the content I enjoy. But there's just a lot of politics and stuff like that, and I've even had people asking me my opinions in DM about what's your take on this political situation. Who do you affiliate with, Trump or Biden and stuff? And I'm just like, I'm English. I don't have a boat in that race. Like, and the whole like war situation. People trying to talk to us about Ukraine or Israel and stuff, and it's just like, I don't need to use my platform, which is silly in itself, saying you have a platform, using my account to talk about that shit. I'm not an expert in that stuff. I don't understand it enough to be able to talk confidently about it. Not that I'd even want to, and I'm very much of the opinion, someone put a tweet out today, and I'll put it up on the screen, and I'll quickly try and find it while I'm talking, because I did retweet it, so it'll be quite quick to find. I just want to give the account some. So it's from at Stackholder, talking about how we are living through the fourth turning, and how there's a lot of bad shit going on in the world, but you could either take all that information in and absorb it all, and all that emotional impact that's going to have on you, and it's going to affect your moods and lifestyle, or you can choose to filter and what you concentrate and put your energy into. And that's kind of where I'm at. I read it, and it's a fantastic post, and it kind of mirrors a lot of my thoughts. So I recommend you going to read it. It's retweeted on my profile if you want to read it, from at Stackholder. But it kind of mirrors a lot of my thought process. Like there's just so much shit that goes on in the world that you can't put your energy into it all. You just can't. And you need to focus and filter and limit what you do put your attention into. If I put all my attention into the war with Israel and Palestine, maybe I'm not putting enough energy into my family. Maybe I'm not putting enough energy into, focusing on, is my daughter okay today? Or is there stuff that needs doing around the house, or anything, right? Or just my happiness in general. So I don't think it's smart to be talking about this shit publicly if you really don't even understand it properly, and you get these experts that jump from one trend to the other, or one subject to the other, whether it's I'm going to talk about now I'm a banking crisis expert, now I'm a geopolitical expert, now I'm a war expert, now I'm a COVID vaccine expert, and these accounts just jump from one to the other, and you just think like you're just doing this for exposure, you're just doing this for awareness, your heart's not in the right place, and it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit, and I don't like it, and I feel like that's also part of the problem, because I talk about wanting to go onto these platforms like X or Twitter and getting my finance information from experts, but then they start talking about they start flipping their accounts to talk about a lot of that shit, and it's just I don't know. Obviously, there's bad stuff going on in the world. Obviously, you should care, but the reality is you can't care about everything. You just can't. And like it's like we're told what to focus on. That's kind of how I feel with the media and a lot of this stuff. It's like we're told what we should care about, what we should focus on, whether that's through social media, whether that's just through news. I fucking don't watch the news. I hate the news. It's the most depressing half hour on television. It's fucking awful. And you're sitting there with your daughter and you're trying to have dinner, and all of a sudden the news comes on. It's just like, there's been a rape today in London. There's been a thingy. There's been this. It's just like one thing after another. You're barraged with all this really depressing, horrible information, and it's just like you had to choose what was, you had to collate that information. You had to choose what was put on the news during that half an hour, and it was all depressing shit. There's no good stuff happening in the world, and it's like you have to. I feel like we, as a society, we're kind of programmed to focus on an event and really hammer it to death. Whether it's I don't know, the gender stuff, right? Like the gender stuff. Of course, there's a group of people who believe one thing. There's a group of people who believe another, right? But in reality, that's a very vocal minority who care about that stuff and want change. It doesn't kind of speak to the larger aspects of society, right? But then it's focused on so much in the news that you think it's a wider problem than it is. And I just feel like you have the stuff that's going on in Israel and Ukraine, and obviously it's horrible stuff and it's serious stuff. But then there's wars all over the world. There's genocides, there's wars, there's slavery, there's bad shit going on in a lot of countries that are just not talked about. And why aren't they talked about? But these are, and I just feel like we're so programmed to, as a society as a whole, to move from one subject to the next subject to the next subject, and everyone has to focus on the same thing. And I feel like you have a choice to say no, I don't want to, I don't need to, I want to focus on my own life and my own reality. Because the way I see it is, this is a true ramble, by the way. I don't know how we got to here, but here we are. But the way I see it is like everyone has their own reality, right? No one sees things from my eyes. I can't see things from your eyes. Everyone's reality is completely different to how their perception of what they're seeing, what they're experiencing, right? That's how I see things. And my reality, I'm in control of my own reality, right? I can choose what I pay attention to, what I look at, what I experience, what I take in, what I choose not to take in. And I feel like you have the choice to just say no. Like, I don't need that negative shit in my life. I don't need to focus on it. I don't need to absorb it. I can choose to focus on positive stuff, healthy stuff, instead of, reading news after news about how terrible things are in the world. I can go and play golf, and I can go and play golf and do it with people that I care about and have a good time. And that's it, or, instead of, absorbing the news, I can absorb a program with my daughter. We can watch a film. We can have a good time doing it, and we can talk about the film and be happy. I think you have a choice to absorb and to control your own reality. You don't need to be told what to do. You don't need to do it just because everyone else is doing it. It's bullshit. It's like sheep mentality. You don't need to. And just because everyone has an opinion doesn't mean it's the right opinion. So yeah, so just in general, like Twitter X has been quite shit recently, I think, and it's kind of mixed in with the plans of just like, I don't know how much longer I want to be doing this. I had a plan to really stick around for the bull market, and I will, but the amount of time that I actually put into posting daily, weekly, whatever, will be affected by just how enjoyable it is, and it's been less enjoyable recently. And that has some stuff to do with the bull market. Of course, it's boring. It's a boring period. But yeah, it's just less enjoyable, and the platform itself is unenjoyable. I don't enjoy going on there anymore. I don't care about the whole revenue side of things. It's shit revenue anyway. It's like barely even worth talking about. Um, so it's like, I don't know. I don't know. It's quite a tricky time just from the perspective of it takes a long time to work through all of this bullshit in terms of going from the bull cycle back to another bull cycle. There's a lot of time, a lot of patience needed, and a lot of emotional bullshit you have to work your way through to get to that point. Because you got to make decisions still. You know you have to make the right decisions if you're going to maximize the returns in the bull market. But it's not easy, and it could be hard work. And I think the emotional aspect isn't covered enough because everyone's just focusing on like, you should invest in this project. Um, this is going to give you 1,000x return. Like, I'm going to be rich next year, and it's just like the emotional side of it is what fucks most people. The emotional aspect of investing, I would say 90 to 99% is what kills people, and they're not ready for it, and they don't take the time to think about it or care about it. And I think until you do, I don't think you're ever going to succeed properly in the space. You might get lucky, but I don't think you're going to succeed properly unless you really understand the emotional toll that the space can take on you. Uh, and even if you understand it, you still have to then go through it. It's like I say to my wife, like, look, we just need to get through. Not that she's moaning, not that she understands it completely, but just saying, look, it's a horrible period. We have to get through it. There could be a worse period coming up in terms of like a capitulation or just a big drawdown. That's because of the larger global economy. That's just, again, my opinion. Don't have to go into it, and it might not happen. But just saying, look, then on the other side of that, we should get the next bull run. We should get positive market sentiment and environment again, and then we're back to the races. And it's you can say all that and it sounds easy, but you actually have to go through it all, and that's the hard bit. So the reality of it is a lot more difficult and time wise, and just because of the events that happen during the markets and the moves. It's more tricky than just saying, yeah, we just got to go through it. um, so yeah, it's a tricky time at the moment, man. Just a bit boring. And I hope everyone's doing good, because I don't like seeing people struggle, but I also don't like the thought of people not being ready, because that's it impacts not just them, but it's their families, and that I think of everything from the perspective of my family. Like I don't really want to succeed just for me. I like the idea of being a success, but for me, it's larger than that. I put my wife and I put my daughter before me. So like, I want success for them, not for me. I want it for them, and I know other people are like that. So that's why I do what I do. That's why I, do recordings like this. That's why I put out information and try to highlight what I perceive as good projects, and try to, filter out the shit, because hopefully it helps other people, but hopefully it helps them and their families, because I understand what that's like, to be in a position where you feel like you don't have that way out, or you feel like you're struggling and you're not quite providing for your family, or you just feel like a failure. And I I understand there's other people who are going to be in that situation now. So any leg up, or any way that I can help personally, whether that's just through information, whether that's just through a recording like this, I that's why I do it, because I want other people to escape that, you know. Um, but yeah, I guess that's it. I guess that's all. That's where we're at. I think we're in a tricky period where we just have to navigate it. We have to get to that bull run, and if we can get to that bull run, I think everything changes. Liquidity, comes back. Interest rates are cut. That's just the start of the bad shit. But we just need to navigate it. And like I said on the Driving with Dread show, it's we're in a position where we we could see a scenario where Bitcoin crypto can decouple from the larger global themes. And if that's the case, then you know, and the halving is the catalyst, then all of a sudden we're back to the races. We don't have to worry too much about the macro side of things, and we have a true decoupling. But if crypto and Bitcoin is not able to decouple, I think we're going to have a tricky period. And I don't necessarily mean right now. I actually think, for the next couple of months, we might see, going into year end, we might see a bit of a rally in the traditional space, in terms of equities. And if we get that move, then I think, personally, I think going into next year, that's going to be the time to really start paying attention to see how our conditions look in here. And that's going to, the next 6 months for Bitcoin is going to be very important. And that's going to dictate where the crypto space goes as well. And all of the projects that you're invested in along with it. So now's the time to pay attention, but choose where you put your energy and make sure you stay sane. And, you don't have to spend every minute in crypto. You can go outside and touch grass, go outside, take your shoes off, take your socks off, touch some grass, enjoy life, man. Because if you're not going to enjoy yourself on the journey, it's not just about the destination, is it? We can say, I want to get rich, I want to be wealthy, I want to change my family circumstances, but there's a long journey to get to that point, and you have to enjoy the actual journey. If you're not able to do that, then you're going to have a very hard time, and you might even end up as happy as you thought you would at the start, because you've been through some shit. So, yep, I'm going to end it there. I'm going to go and have a cup of tea, and I hope everyone's okay, and I'll see you in the next one. So, see you later. Bye.